Married at First Sight Season 17, why can't Clare and Cameron find a romantic connection? Is Clare too critical? Married at First Sight couple Clare and Cameron have been having trouble connecting romantically, and it might be because Clare is too critical. Married at First Sight Season 17 couple Clare Kerr and Cameron Fraser have been struggling to connect romantically, and it may be because Clare is too critical. Viewers watched Clare and Cameron marry as strangers and meet each other's inner circles at the wedding. They hit it off well at the wedding and were attracted to one another. Now, Clare and Cameron are on their honeymoon in Mexico with 3 other married at first sight couples. They have been trying to get to know one another and form a connection. However, the pair's connection was off from the night of their honeymoon, and they have been awkward when trying to find their spark ever since. Clare and Cameron got into their first argument after Clare thought Cameron was being inconsiderate while they were in transit to Mexico. Cameron didn't help Clare with her big bag because he thought she was independent, and Clare didn't like that Cameron ran ahead in the airport. These kinds of miscommunications are what have been causing friction in their marriage. Clare doesn't return Cameron's affection. Cameron has been vocal about being someone who shows affection through touch but has complained about getting mixed signals from Clare. Clare said she was open to touch and liked physical affection, but Cameron was apprehensive about touching her because she wasn't putting out vibes like she wanted to be touched. Clare's fellow castmates Becca, Lauren, and Emily pointed out that Clare was not returning Cameron's affection, which could play into their disconnect. After that, Clare made an effort to return Cameron's touch, but she does not seem lovey-dovey or smitten by Cameron in a romantic way yet. If Clare can take Cameron's lead and lean into his love language more, the duo have a better chance of success. Cameron must also learn the kind of physical affection Clare wants to receive and when she is most receptive to connecting. If Clare continues to remain on the colder side, it could spell continued trouble for her marriage since Cameron feels apprehensive about his physical expressions. Clare and Cameron have not kissed or cuddled since the wedding, and that is going to need to change if they are going to move forward romantically. Clare doesn't communicate what she wants. Clare is a 28-year-old therapist who appears to have brought her critical therapy demeanor and behavior into her marriage. Clare often delivers cold and direct questions to Cameron and digs into his responses. She comes off as very analytical and wary of answers and thoughts dissimilar to her own. Clare did not like that Cameron was not open to going to therapy and pressed his views negatively when he tried to explain that opportunity comes to him versus having to work for it with the help of a therapist. This situation showcased Clare's critical lens and her view that having differing standpoints was bad. In the suitcase situation, Cameron didn't know Clare wanted help and for him to wait up because she never said so. It's becoming apparent that Clare and Cameron don't communicate the right way and that Clare's serious nature isn't meshing with Cameron's playful personality. When talking with the other guys, Orion, Austin, and Brennan, Cameron made the point that Clare was good at communicating her feelings but bad at telling him what she wanted. Cameron's observation rings true based on his and Clare's difficulty with becoming romantic. Cameron thinks Clare is not willing to be uncomfortable during the group boat cruise. Cameron and Clare seemed like they were growing closer until Cameron pointed out that he didn't think Clare was willing to be uncomfortable. Clare's body language toward Cameron grew colder, and she again reverted to asking him direct questions about why he felt that way because she felt the opposite. She won't look at what she is doing to dampen her romantic connection with Cameron and only sees him as the cause for not having that spark. Clare seems to want control in the marriage, and in doing so, she has become overly critical of Cameron. Cameron keeps trying to advance with Clare, but her rigidity is not conducive to them making progress. Clare will need to be willing to make changes and stop being so analytical if she wants to understand Cameron better. Clare and Cameron have potential if Clare loosens up. Cameron and Clare were matched by the experts for several good reasons. Clare asked for someone goofy, and Cameron is definitely goofy. Moreover, they both wanted someone independent but could come together as a couple. They wanted stability and maturity in their future partner. Those qualities are there between them, but they are getting tripped up by Clare being unable to loosen up. Clare seems to be focusing too much on what she sees as incompatibilities with Cameron when she should be striving to see everything positive. Cameron is all in on the marriage and reiterated to the other guys how much he was attracted to Clare during their hangout. Married at First Sight viewers also saw a glimmer of hope in Clare and Cameron's connection when they did neon painting, and things got spirited after they started throwing paint at each other. The jovial activity brought out the best in both of them, and they had a progressive talk afterward about how they needed more lightheartedness. This signals that there is hope for Clare to loosen up and for them both to have fun with each other. In the preview for the next episode of Married at First Sight, Cameron will have to go to the hospital in Cancun for some unknown reason, and Clare will question whether he's coming back. After the honeymoon, Clare and Cameron are meant to move into a neutral apartment and settle into what life could look like for them in their marriage. They will be introduced further into each other's lives and try to grow together. The entire Married at First Sight experiment lasts 8 weeks, leading up to a final decision day, where Cameron and Clare will decide if they want to stay married or get a divorce. Today's next news. Married at First Sight Season 17, Lauren's oversharing is not good for marriage. To Orion, can she change? Married at First Sight's Lauren overshared with her husband Orion about recent intimacy she had, which turned Orion off. Can she stop oversharing? Married at First Sight Season 17 participant Lauren is sabotaging her marriage to Orion Martzloff by oversharing, but she still might have time to change. Lauren and Orion took the leap of faith to marry a stranger handpicked for them by Married at First Sight's team of 3 experts. Lauren has deep connections to her Black heritage, while Orion's Native American culture is very important to him. Each wanted a partner they could share their culture with and learn from. This is Lauren's first relationship with someone outside of her race. Lauren and Orion were attracted to each other from the moment they met, and that attraction has carried through to the honeymoon. However, they have had several key issues that have been driving them apart due to Lauren's behavior. Married at Sight viewers have been watching them on their honeymoon in Mexico, where they are striving to get to know each other more while getting support from the other 3 couples. Once the honeymoon is over, Lauren and Orion will move into a neutral apartment and try to settle into their marriages further, but Lauren and Orion have a lot of baggage from the honeymoon. Lauren and Orion have had friction. While everything between Lauren and Orion started well, they had a major disconnect once they dove into sensitive topics. Lauren asked Orion if he had ever used the N-word. He said he had ignorantly. Lauren admitted to using words she shouldn't have in the past, and Orion threw out the term red skin. Lauren said she didn't know what that meant before stopping herself and chuckling while saying, "Oh wait, I just looked at your face." Orion was offended and schooled Lauren on why her joke wasn't funny. Lauren's decision to prod her husband in that situation by posing a joke spoke to her ignorance and caused a rift between her and Orion. Since this tension started early, it has set the tone for Orion and viewers to be wary of Lauren's need to get her point across at the expense of her husband. Lauren and Orion spent some time apart before hashing it out and coming to an agreement to move past the uncomfortable issue, but it did mark a precedent. Lauren overshared about her recent sex life. During the latest episode of Married at First Sight Season 17, Lauren stuck her foot in her mouth again, creating another uncomfortable situation for her husband. Lauren brought up the topic of sex, which seemed to excite both her and Orion. They talked about what they were like as lovers before Lauren asked when the last time Orion had sex was. Orion said it had been a year and a half. Lauren laughed as she said it had only been 2 months for her. This obviously upset Orion, who said he doesn't give himself sexually to people easily. Lauren then stoked the flame and directly asked Orion if he had an issue with her sleeping with someone 2 months prior. Orion looked disheartened as he said it did and that sex was now off the table for him. Lauren clearly overshared in a moment where she should have read the room and paused to think if her reveal could be hurtful and have consequences. Lauren doesn't know when to keep things to herself in both the uncomfortable instances instigated by Lauren. She proved that she can't or doesn't know when to keep things to herself. Whether she is oversharing because she wants her husband to know the truth or to showcase her playful personality is unknown. However, it's clear her thinking is misguided because she keeps making inappropriate remarks and divulsions that are damaging fans' perceptions and her marriage. If Lauren had kept her insensitive joke to herself and not been eager to let Orion know about her recent intimacy, their connection would be in a much better place. Lauren presses issues too far also in both touchy situations. Lauren pressed the issue much farther than it needed to go, which added an extra layer of cringe to the already difficult occurrences. During the red skin incident, Lauren did not back down from asking Orion why he was heated, and continued asking questions that annoyed Orion. If she had admitted to that being a bad thing to say instead of relentlessly trying to justify her ignorance and minimize the situation, the whole ordeal could have been dealt with more easily. Moreover, Lauren did not need to dig her heels in and ask Orion whether her having sex 2 months ago bothered him. Her rhetoric in driving home the point Orion had a problem with was insensitive and not the proper way to deal with her overshare. Lauren was frustrated by Orion's disappointment over her recent sexual encounter, which was not fair to Orion since she was the one to cause the problem. Orion and Lauren want to be married to each other. There is room and time for Lauren to change in her marriage to Orion. She now has 2 distinct situations to learn from. Lauren has said that she wants to understand her husband, and it appears as though she and Orion want to put in the work to make the marriage successful. Lauren and Orion have a lot in common and have been smitten with each other outside of these, now 2 incidents. While Lauren has shown her immaturity, Orion's patient nature and communication skills are 2 things that could help him and Lauren come back from these unfortunate incidents. Since Lauren has proclaimed that her and Orion's relationship is resolution-based, it's possible they can get past Lauren's most recent overshare. However, that is unlikely, given the trailer for the Married at First Sight season and the trailer for the next episode. It looks like things will implode further for the couple as Orion talks to Married at First Sight expert Pastor Cal about how Lauren said he was lying about how things played out. Simultaneously, Lauren will confide in castmate Clare about an argument she had with Orion in which she asked for a divorce. Thanks for watching this videos. Please hit the subscribe button for more updated news.